measures. And the Public Authority for Water, DIAM, starts to implement a new water pipeline project in the wilaya of Sib. Those are the headlines, and now the news in detail. The Ministry of Health announced that the total number of recorded infections with coronavirus in the Sultanate reached 103,465. The number of deaths reached 1,000 cases, and the total of those recovered reached 91,239 people, with a cure rate of 88.9%. The total number of COVID-19 fatalities in the Sultanate reached 1,000, which again makes it necessary to adhere to the precautionary measures to limit further damage to the individuals and the community. Around 412 individuals who died of COVID-19 were buried in Al-Amarat Cemetery. May Allah have mercy on their souls. Meanwhile, the number of those in intensive care units in the Sultanate's hospitals are also in an increase. An isolation ward was opened in the governorate of south of Sharqiya at Sur Referral Hospital with the support from Oman LNG Development Company. The ward includes 12 separate isolation rooms equipped with the latest international standards equipment. The opening of the ward is meant for enhancing healthcare rendered to COVID-19 patients and those suspected to have other infections and communicable diseases. The opening of the ward came at the time the COVID-19 pandemic puts public and private health establishments in the Sultanate under immense pressure. The isolation ward will play a vital role in limiting the spread of the virus in the hospital. The opening ceremony was presided over by His Excellency Dr. Ahmed bin Mohammed Al Saidi, Minister of Health. City Camera News Bulletin. Omani Citizen Fund, an initiative to construct a dialysis unit in Saham Hospital. Welcome back to the news from the Sultanate of Oman Television. The Public Authority for Water, DIAM, began implementing a new water grid in Al-Amabela in the Wilayah of Sib, which would serve around 23,700 households. The project comes to keep up with the urban sprawl as the area has been seeing and to further support the water supply infrastructure. Here is a report.
Projects to improve water security are of great importance in the Sultanate, and with the unending urban sprawl and population increase in mind, the Public Authority for Water carries a number of new such projects in the Wilayah of Sib in the Muscat Governorate, including the establishment of a new water grid in Al-Ma'bela areas 2, 5 and 7, the finalisation of stages 1 and 2 water grids of the third package, and some development projects to serve the new residential charts in both Al-Khawd Area 6 and North Al-Manuma, or with the aim of improving water pump and transport infrastructure. To ensure the sustainability of the water sector, DM works on strategically important projects to transport and store water, and to ensure water is served to all the wilayats and to every home, To put the importance of these projects into perspective, the water pipelines in the wilaya of Sib have reached at a length of 1,560 kilometers, and the quantities of daily consumed water reach a staggering 160,000 cubic meters. The wilaya has 8 water pumping stations that cover 60% of the water infrastructure, and 6 storage tanks with a capacity of 205,000 cubic meters. DM have also finalised the establishment of the main lines project in each of Al Mualah Area 11, Al Ma'bele Area 4 and 6, and Al Khawd Area 7, and is working on accelerating the finalisation of the secondary lines and the connection lines into houses in those areas. DM is also working to establish new main delivery lines and house connections in Al Ma'bele Area 8 and Halban. The total number of all house units that would benefit from these projects reached 23,700. In addition to that, the Public Authority for Water works on the partial delivery system to the finished grids, such as the Ain and Riwaya neighbourhoods of Al Ma'bela Area 4, to accelerate the supply of water to those living there. DM depends on a main plan for the water sector that takes into account the demographic challenges caused by the staggering population increase, urban development and the expansion in the commercial, industrial and tourism activities, in order to keep up with the Sultanate's 2040 vision.
The Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers Oman section, which is a professional and voluntary organization, celebrated the IEEE Day under the auspices of Oman Society for Engineers, and we have a report on that.
With the aim of recognizing the role of the Institute of Electrical Electronics Engineers, Oman section celebrated this annual event along with the largest international professional organization that consists of over 400,000 members in the world. Due to COVID-19 pandemic situation, the event was conducted virtually with the speech of Professor Abdullah Al-Badi, chair of the section, followed by a report on IEEE students' activities in Oman, which was presented by Engineer Yahya Al-Blushi. The event resumed with a talk by Engineer Abdullah Saadi, Chief Executive Officer of Nafath Company. This was followed by a talk on the Sahim Residential Solar Initiative by Engineer Hilal Al-Ghaithi from Authority for Public Services Regulation. A technical talk on the evaluation of mobile data networks was presented by Dr. Ahmed Al-Ma'shari, Sultan Qaboos University. Then the open discussion where participants discussed the role of IEEE Oman in serving the community. Suggestions were made to expand the role of the section and to improve its impact on the society. A short competition for students was assumed afterwards, which was followed by a few concluding remarks by the organizers. It's worth mentioning that IEEE Oman section is a professional non-profit organization that includes 4 societies, affinity groups, young professionals and women in engineering, and 12 students branches from various colleges and universities across Oman. Abdullah bin Ahmed Al-Rubai, Sultanate of Oman Television, Muscat.
The Ministry of Health signed an agreement to construct a dialysis unit in Saham Hospital. The initiative is funded by an Omani citizen. The project will be constructed in an area exceeding 778 square meters. The unit will include 19 beds, male waiting hall and female waiting hall. The project, upon its completion, will contribute in enhancing services rendered to dialysis patients. 17 research studies qualified for the final evaluation stage within the award of the Public Authority for Social Insurance for the scientific researches in its second edition, which started in the middle of June 2019. 59 proposed research participated in this award and were evaluated according to the research standards that supervised by the Specialized Research Evaluation Team. 7 researchers from the field of spreading the culture of social insurance were qualified, while 3 researchers were qualified from the field of insurance services laws and legislation of social insurance system. The technique of cooling the nutrient solutions for planting without soil is considered one of the techniques encouraged by the Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries and Water Resources to save water. This type of cultivation is applied by many farmers, especially in the governorates of North and South Al-Batna, to grow various types of crops. The technique was used in experiments for 2 years and it proved to be successful. It has a number of properties, among which is that the crop's production will increase by 40% and it keeps the plants fresh. The cooling system includes a device for controlling the temperatures, thermostat, copper pipes and some isolators for irrigation pipes. As part of the Sultanate celebrations on the Omani Physical Activity Day, which falls on October 2nd, the Department of Community Health Initiatives in the Ministry of Health organized an online forum on the relations between physical activity and COVID-19. More details in the following report.
Physical activity is essential for life. It doesn't matter whether you are old or young. Everyone has a role to play in helping to take a step towards leading healthier and happier lives. In Oman, the percentage of obesity among young women is higher at 42.3 as against 24.5 for young men, which puts the Sultanate 7th on the list of nations with a higher prevalence of obesity. So perform physical activity to improve your health. Under the theme, Join Us Today, Make It a Habit Every Day, the Ministry of Health and the Ministry of Culture, Sports and Youth celebrated the Oman Physical Activity Day, which is annually observed on the 2nd of October. In commemoration of this day, a number of senior officials from the Ministry of Health and the Ministry of Culture, Sports and Youth and World Health Organization, along with athletes, citizens and residents, participated in the event virtually, followed by awareness activity and programs that were broadcasted via various social media channels.
Physical activity is very important to everyone, and I highly recommend for it. I started doing walking basically now almost 15 years, and I do walk daily for 5 times a week for almost 1.5 hours. The main purpose of exercising or walking is just to keep your bodies fit, and also the most important also to burn the calories during the day. So I recommend everybody to keep on walking on a regular basis.
This event highlighted several related issues that provide supportive environment for physical activity such as cycling, mountain hiking, karate, and people with supportive environment for physical activity. On this occasion, it was clearly highlighted that physical inactivity is the 4th main risk of early death and one of the 4th main risk factors responsible for alarming increasing of non-communicable diseases. These 4 factors, tobacco, physical inactivity, unhealthy food habits, and alcohol abuse, are responsible for 60% of deaths in the world.
I am coming to the gym every day for exercise. It makes my day. It is good to fight obesity and for blood recycle. My advice to people to do sport at least 1 hour walking a day.
It was also pointed out that about 31% of the population do not perform sufficient physical activity to avoid them from these serious health problems.
This is the Sultan of Oman Television. Before we went to tonight's bulletin, here are the main points once again. The COVID-19 fatalities in the Sultanate reach 1,000 and the number of patients in ICU exceeds 210. As COVID-19 infections and fatalities increase in the Sultanate, the Minister of Health stresses on adherence to the precautionary measures. And the Public Authority for Water, DIAM, starts to implement a new water pipeline project in the Wilaya of Sib. And with that, we come to the end of tonight's news bulletin. From all of us here in the newsroom and the studios, thanks for watching. Good night.